interesting thought process.
That's a great question. Oh, that's really hard. Oh my God, I didn't realize it was going to be like this.
Wow, that's a good question.
Another good but difficult question.
Welcome to Casual Conversations with your host, Mike Oppenheim. Hi, everyone, and thanks so much for checking in to another Casual Conversations with Mike Oppenheim. This episode, number 4, I'm so excited because I have one of my favorite people in the whole world with me, and it's my Aunt Celeste, and she's on the phone. Hi, Aunt Celeste.
Hi there, Mike. It's good to talk to you because I never get to.
Yeah, no, it's great. And it's funny because I communicate with you on a weekly basis at the very least, and more often than not usually, but all via email. So
right.
And you do visit us here, and I never visit you there, but someday that will change when I have children who aren't young. We have 3 mandatory questions we always ask at the beginning of the interview, and it is, what is your age, where did you grow up, and what generation, if any, do you consider yourself a member of?
I'm 78 years old. I haven't grown up yet, and I really don't know. I think I'm a boomer, aren't I?
It's funny because you were technically born like during World War II.
Yeah.
So I know the baby boomers are supposed to be the children conceived after, but I'm not sure. I know my grandfather, your father, and my grandmother, you were conceived before he went to the war, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so I think technically you're part of the greatest generation, although that's a little weird for me because you didn't actually like fight in World War II. I mean, you were probably screaming in diapers, but...
Yes, because Dad he'd been drafted, but he hadn't gone overseas yet when I was born.
Yeah, so I'm not sure, but I do know that by my standard, I put you in the generation before the baby boomers, and it's based on one simple statement you've made repeatedly, which is that my mother, your sister, who is 4 years younger than you and certainly a baby boomer, like literally conceived when he came home and all that, she was, a hippie in the 60s, and she smoked pot for a while and that kind of stuff. And I know that you have said you never tried it and never went down that culture path. So that's how I see you, as being from a different generation than her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. But it's not that people from your generation can't smoke marijuana, and it's not that people from my mother's have to. It's more that I don't even think your peer group was like part of that. Like,
well, I was around it, but I never tried it, even though I smoked regular cigarettes because I was afraid I'd get the munchies, and I didn't need any help with that.
Your fears are right. I can tell you, as someone who's dabbled in the art of smoking marijuana, the munchies are almost a requirement. But when I said, where did you grow up, and you said you weren't done growing up, I just meant like literally what area are you from, and I can fill that in for you. It's Tampa, but do you want to comment on that at all? Well,
I grew up in Tampa. I left right before I was 21, so I still had a lot of growing up to do.
And actually, I'm going to ask this question now because I think it's kind of a fun question. We have 50 states in the union, and I would say that the majority of jokes about states are made about Texas, Florida, and California, but that's because they're like the 3 biggest states that kind of all butt heads. And then meanwhile, most of the jokes about culture in America involve someone from West Virginia or Alabama, which is where you live. So this is your grand chance right now to either defend or further vilify the state of Alabama, because I have a feeling most of the members of our audience know next to nothing about it, except, like I said, the cliches and stereotypes we hear in like late night shows and stuff like that.
It's a beautiful state, but it's still backwards.
Got it. So that's interesting. Well, I've always been fascinated by it, and I have technically been there a few times, and I did visit you in college, and it was one of my most memorable trips of my life. And when you say it's backwards, and this is actually, believe it or not, part of the overall interview structure, can you explain that to me with your version of morality and philosophy? So meaning like backwards meaning what, and then how does that tie into your overall outlook on life?
Okay. It's very difficult for me to find a lot of people who think like I do, who are as open-minded as I am, and who aren't very close-minded about social issues that I feel strongly about.
And how did you become a strong feeling person about social issues?
Probably because I was raised without prejudice.
Interesting. Wow. And this is me being very disrespectful of people your age. I feel like you grew up in a time of extreme prejudice, and I can give like literal examples. Like you grew up in a state that still follows. Hey everyone, that's it for the free version of this podcast. If you want to hear the full one, just head over to mikeyop.com and become a premium subscriber. That's MIKEYOPP
Thanks for listening.